What's up, guys? I'm nobody special, and I have Eric from Sage News with me today. How you doing today, Eric?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. Now, a lot of talk in the news about the Supreme Court lately. A lot of things I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole on this channel, but there's one story that came out of the Supreme Court recently. Didn't get a lot of headlines, but it's a very big deal, especially if you're somebody with a side hustle, somebody involved in the gig economy. The Supreme Court may have just put you out of work courtesy of the People's Republic of California. What's going on over there, Sage? What do you got?
Yeah, so basically it was something that the California didn't look at. I'm sorry, the Supreme Court didn't look at and sent back. So the state of what I call Chinafornia is basically decided that if you are an independent contractor, okay, so you're an independent contractor and somebody calls you in and says, hey, can you come in and assist our truck drivers is a perfect example. You're an independent contractor that's a truck driver. You haul their freight as a lease driver. You are no longer working for that company. They either hire you or fire you. They've just given 70,000 drivers 7 days to cease and desist their companies. 70,000 of them cease and desist the way you're now running your company. So what this is called AB5. It was put in place about a year ago the argument was, who has the right to tell somebody if somebody's an employee or not? The companies were saying that, they're not employees. Some of the people are saying, yes, they are, and companies don't want to hire people to put on their taxes if they're only going to use them for 1 or 2 trips and things like that.
So this is the Uber law, right? The law when they went after the Uber drivers and said, you're underpaying your Uber drivers. You need to make them employees and give them benefits and all that stuff.
Yeah, it started with a company called Duramax Operations, and then it kind of went from there. And the issue is the fact that, the misclassification for drivers. For workers. And they basically just kind of wanted to come in and say, look, you're misclassifying these people. You're not paying taxes on these people. You're not getting whatever California requires you to have, but they're doing the same work that you should be doing. And a lot of truck drivers, they lease to trucking companies and they have their own truck. They buy their own fuel, but they run under the numbers of another trucking company. Now that gives them some leverage. Like if that trucking company's got 10 or 15 trucks, it might have a good record. The broker's going to look at that and say, yeah, go ahead. You guys got a good record with us, right? A lot of times it gives better insurance prices because you're buying, the carrier's buying insurance. So there are advantages of being leased to a carrier. Well, all those guys can no longer be leased. And now they're going to have to either go out, get their own insurance, put down the down payment for insurance, which could range anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 for insurance or more. I have seen more. Get their own authority and try to start hauling freight under their own numbers.
So we've got 70,000 truck drivers in California right now who are operating as independent contractors.
Correct.
Basically subcontracting for these larger firms. And under this AB5 law, which the Supreme Court just refused to strike down, those guys have 7 days to become employees of the company they're contracting for or stop.
Correct.
Am I understanding that right?
Happy 4th of July. Basically, after the 4th of July, they could be coming back and not having a place to work. Now, here's the main problem with this. What I'm trying to give me screen, please. The main problem with this is it's not only the fact that this happened in California, but there are other states that were kind of watching this to see where this would go. Now, the other problem is it's so open that nobody knows exactly how this is going to be. People are going to go after this and prosecute it and find and things are going to happen. So it's going to be a labor department and a wage department in the state of California right now. But the issue is that you could be driving into California and doing most of your business in California, and technically you fall under that California law, even though your business is based out of Las Vegas. Because when you go into the state, you fall under the state's laws, right? When you're doing this. And the other issue is, how are they tracking that? Well, every time a truck driver drives in a state, they have to pay a tax for driving in that state. Now, if they buy fuel in that state, they can buy enough fuel to cover that tax for the amount of miles that they drive. It's called IFTA. But if they don't, they turn that in every quarter and they can say, hey, I drove through your state of California, but I didn't buy any fuel. And California is going to say, okay, you owe this much money based on the amount of miles you drove. So that's being tracked. So if that information is handed over to the Labor Department, they eventually could back charge all these trucking companies saying, well, you drove in our state.
So they'll be able to figure out if an independent contractor from Nevada or from Idaho drove through California for 10 minutes or for a couple hours.
Correct.
Broke that law, and they could fine him, prosecute him under California law, however they want.
Right now, the way it's openly written, it's possible. Now, are they going to? I don't know. But knowing the mind of a truck driver, because I was one, I'm not going to put myself in a situation that I drive into this state. I don't know if they're going to fine me or not. And then a year from now, I get a $5,000 fine because they did fine me. They did charge me with this. The other issue is that this went to the 9th District Court. Now, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on YouTube. But the picture that I have up over here are all the other states that are covered by this same court. If any of these states wanted to put this through, it could end up going to the same court because now we have one of the most powerful things I feel is in the United States is legal precedence. That is immensely powerful weapon. When you start to set a legal precedence, it's very hard to break. And now we have a legal precedence that these other 15 states can run. But you also have other states that were looking at this same thing. And this was an article that I read a while. It's an older article, but they were looking at this same style law. And these are states that are, let me make sure I get them right. Actually, I have the Twitter feed. No.
I know New Jersey has to be in there. I used to live in that god-awful state. I'm telling you, they're in there. If California did it, New Jersey wants to try it.
All right. So this was a tweet from Craig Fuller.
There it is. Yep, right there, New Jersey.
Craig Fuller's the owner of FreightWave. So he even says, most trucking executives I spoke with expected the Supreme Court to rule against California. They were wrong. Now, the bigger risk is similar laws getting passed in other blue ports. New York, New Jersey, Illinois. So the problem is most of the drainage companies, and drayage is your company that takes the container from the boat to the train or the boat to the warehouse to basically offload the container. Those are your drayage companies. Oh man, probably 90% of those fall under independent contractors.
So and we've already got problems at our ports, right? They're already backed up. We've already got a nationwide shortage of truck drivers. We've already got a million problems in the supply chain.
Correct.
Now you're talking 70,000 truck drivers, most of whom are that critical connection between the port and the train yard, or the port and the truck depot, are being taken off the market. They're because these guys, they may not want to be an employee of that company, right? A lot of these guys value their independence. They value their freedom. They're on the open road because they like it, right? They like being out and not being tied down somewhere. They're not going to want to be glued to some company.
Right. And a lot of companies don't want to hire them because this also falls under shippers. I have a shipper in California that moved their operation a year ago. They bailed on California a year ago. And I asked them now, I said, was this a part? Did you do this because of this? They said, yes. Because if you're a shipper and you have two trucks, they had two trucks on their in their system. So they had a trucking company. They would not have been able to outsource their freight to another trucking company in the state of California because they have two trucks. They haul their own freight. So they're just like, we're out of here because their two trucks can't cover all their freight, but they still have them for local deliveries and stuff like that. So they just move their operation out of California. Companies are basically just going to say, look, I don't know if I'm at risk, so I'm leaving. And truck drivers are going to say, I don't know if they're going to punish me, so I'm not going. But if other states start to do this, and there's something called the PRO Act, and you guys can look it up, that was put in last year, that would be a federal AB5, meaning all of us fall under that. Now, that's something that might have to go to the Supreme Court. But right now, I was shocked that technically these other states could do the same thing. What does it do for the state? Gives them tax dollars. So is this something that you think a state's going to do? Well, if it's going to give you tax dollars, you tell me.
Yeah, it's funny. Bad ideas just they have a habit of not staying in California. You know, a buddy of mine lives out in Arizona, and he tells me there's a popular bumper sticker out in Arizona. It says, "Please don't CA my AZ." Because of all these California transplants that are moving into Arizona, and they're bringing their California ideas to Arizona, and it's like, "Look, you're moving to Arizona for a reason because your California ideas ruined California, and now people can't afford to live there. So
Yeah.
leave that stuff in California when you come here." This is at the federal level now. They're trying to bring this AB5 thing to every state.
Right, which would be called the PRO Act, and people can look it up. It's called, like I said, it's called the PRO Act, and it is just something that I understand why states want to do it. People don't want to say, "Hey, you're an employee. I don't want to give you health insurance," and the company's trying to, screw them over. But the fact of the matter is that these companies will just fire them because they might not be able to afford hiring them because I don't want to hire him. I only need him for 2 months. I just wanted to haul, and stuff like that. So it's all I know is you're going to have it. It actually hurts. The most damage this does, and I know we want, I'll end it here is if you're a small independent carrier, you're a one guy show, you're fine. But if you want to grow and you want to get bigger, they're not letting you. Because anytime you get bigger, you try to hire another truck on, you try to hire maybe, somebody else to do something in your trucking company. You can't grow now in California because you might not be able to afford paying the taxes and all this other stuff. You just want to bring somebody on to help cover some of the freight, and now you can't.
And
So
that's, you're hitting the nail on the head right there because it is a money grab, right?
Yeah.
Because business owners don't pay a lot in taxes. The tax code heavily advantages a business owner. So a small time independent contractor who doesn't have a lot of employees himself, right? He's not paying a lot of taxes. The tax code is working to his advantage. California wants them on somebody else's payroll so they can collect income taxes from his paycheck instead of letting him pay all of his expenses and then giving taxes based on whatever's left over. So this is a cash grab by the state of California. It's something they excel at.
Right.
And also, look, folks, we've already got this problem at the ports. This means getting stuff through the ports just got more expensive.
Correct. It's going to come back, and that's it, because it's going to be a knee-jerk reaction that, hey, like I said, this is how truck drivers think, because I would too. I'm not going to California, so if you want to go to California, you're going to have to pay me a lot of money. And then the people in California be like, hey, there ain't many of us. You're going to have to pay us more money. So you're going to have, until it basically flatlines and levels itself off, you're going to have that spike over there in regards to, and it's not just goods. It could be fuel. It could be raw material. It could be oil, anything that's moving around there falls into that category. But the port is the main one.
And I would just add that this Supreme Court challenge, it wasn't by Uber drivers. It wasn't by truck drivers. This does affect Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. They can be Uber employees or stop doing what they're doing.
Correct.
But the challenge was bought by photographers and journalists because there's a lot of freelance photographers, a lot of freelance journalists out there. They now have to go be someone else's employee instead of running their own business.
Correct.
California treating its business owners like dirt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, folks, this channel is Sage News Live. I'm going to put a link down in the description. You can check out Eric's channel. He is all over these logistics topics. I had no idea this decision had even been made until I talked to Eric this morning. And, with all the noise going on around some of the other Supreme Court decisions, stuff like this is sneaking through the cracks between all the protests and everything else. Watch out for stuff like this. While all this other noise is going on, watch out what's going on the other hand. Sage, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd appreciate you guys, hit my channel, subscribe to my channel, because at one time I used to be bigger than him and I don't know what happened. No. But I do a lot with China and transportation and logistics, and I'm bringing a lot of people on for interviews and stuff like that because I got a lawyer coming on about this hopefully next week. But this is stuff we need to know because this is the stuff behind the scenes that squashes us and they try to keep us small and not grow. And that's one of my opinion, the biggest effect of this law is that and the unknown on who are they going to charge? I don't know.
Well, Sage, thanks again for bringing us this information and for coming on. Once again, folks, there's a link down below to Sage News Live. And until next time, live small and dream big.